Hey guys, welcome to our podcast. This is the David and Ken podcast. We hope that you enjoy it, and we're going to be talking on our first ever episode about us. Now, David, tell me a little bit about yourself when you were younger. Where are you from? Who are you? What were you like?
All right. Well, first of all, I'm David. I'm from Peru in South America. I grew up in the mountains of Peru. So basically, growing up there, well, I only lived there until I was about 10. There was a lot of issues with the government, and we ended up having to leave. But from what I remember, it was a very beautiful place.
So, for someone who's never been to Peru, what is something that they can look forward to going to Peru?
The food.
The food.
Yep.
Oh, really? What types? Like, why?
Peruvian food is just, there's a lot of different spices to it. It's very flavorful, very natural. We cook with a lot of vegetables and not very much grease, and so it's very healthy. It's delicious. Many times in competitions around the world, it usually gets voted as one of the best tasting foods in the world. So by all means, if you're ever in Peru, you got to taste the food.
Interesting. Wow. Tasting the food. Now, what would be your most favorite, if you went to Peru, you would want to eat that as soon as you get there?
Well, it depends where in Peru you are. But if you're just arriving, you're going to be in the capital, which is in the coast. You would have to try ceviche, which is seafood, because the fish will probably have been caught that same day. So I would say ceviche if you're like right off the plane, you want to get something to eat. Ceviche would be your best bet.
What is ceviche? What type of fish is it? What to someone who's never seen one?
So ceviche, it's basically different. It can be different types of seafood. So different can be tilapia, or it can be swordfish, whatever is the fish that they caught that day. It could be salmon, anything really, and it's made with Peruvian corn, which is not like normal corn. It's huge, and you coat it with lime, and you let it ferment there for a while. So it's not really cooked, but it like you won't get sick from it or anything.
So it's fermented salmon with lime and with some real good spices, then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
Oh wow, that actually sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comment below what's your favorite Peruvian food, by the way, and if you agree with David. So that's really cool. So David, you talked about how there's corruption in Peru. That's why you left. Would you care to elaborate more on that, or?
Yeah. So if you ever study history of Peru, throughout the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there's a lot of different there's a lot of division in the country. In the early or late 80s, early 90s, there was there was a civil war that happened, and then we had a president pretty much through the entire 90s, and
90s, yeah.
Yep, and the same president, and for the most part, he was pretty good. Huh. Yeah, he was pretty good, but then he just got kind of corrupted and decided that he wanted to steal from the country, and then the next president did the same thing, and my dad actually worked for the government at the time, and he wanted, or the government, or some people in the government wanted him to steal from the government, and he decided not to, and then they went after him and us, and we had to leave after that.
Oh wow, that's insane. Like, so many a couple wars, civil wars, distributions. Your father had been working in the government for a while, then I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing somehow the government trusted him a lot, but certain politicians and divisions were trying to take that money. So what made him so honorable in a sense that he was not going to take that money? I'm sure there was a lot of pressure, right? I mean, he came out. I mean, you guys moved here after that entire thing. So
right.
What caused him to do that?
Right. The biggest thing was him joining the church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Previously, before that, he was agnostic, and then once he joined the church, he kind of changed his life completely. He changed with the way he treated us, the way he treated my mom, and from there, things just changed for him, where he refused to fall to peer pressure, basically, and would rather stand up for what he believed in than to cave and do something very wrong. It's funny, before or after we left, there was an article that came out in the newspaper that was accusing him and my mom and stuff of actually stealing from the country when they hadn't.
Wow.
And they have the little newspaper clip somewhere still, but yeah, when we left, the government took pretty much everything we had. We came to the United States with $2,000 and everything we had in a couple suitcases.
Oh wow, that's insane. Starting out, how big was the family at that point? Like, how many siblings and things?
So there was 3 of us, but my older brother stayed in Peru with my grandparents from my mom's side, and my parents just brought my younger brother and I, so it was just the 4 of us total.
Wow, 4 of you going from nice living in, I'm assuming, right, in Peru, from government living, and then being, your father standing his ground, he's not falling to peer pressure, having his life basically threatened, and then moving to the U.S. That's wild.
Yeah, no, it was very well. Like at the time, I didn't comprehend what was going on. It wasn't until a lot later that I understood, but it was very hard because we had pretty much everything in Peru. We had someone to cook food for us, clean for us. Our house had a lot of rooms and we went to a private school, and then when we came here, we ended up in my aunt's basement, and my dad, he was an engineer in Peru, ended up, I think when he started, because he came 6 months before us, he was working at a bakery, making bread. So from, like, if you can imagine going from managing like hundreds of people and being part of the government to baking bread for people, be a big difference. Same with my mom being a like respected teacher, professor, to cleaning toilets for a living. It was a big change for them, more than us, really. Like, as a young child, you don't really realize what they gave up. But as we got older, we understood more of the the gravity of the things that they had to give up for us, so that we can have a better life.
Wow, that's insane. So you had people cooking, cleaning. That's like LeBron, NBA, James a status right there. Holy smokes! And then you went from that to in a basement with $2,000. That's
Yeah, and it was a tiny basement too.
how tiny do you think it was? Was it more like?
There was 2 rooms, a bathroom, and a kitchen.
2 rooms.
Yeah, and so my little brother had to share a bedroom, and then, and it was very cramped. Like nothing big at all. Like it was very small.
Okay, so this is all going on while you're in elementary school, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in middle school, you said your mom was cleaning toilets. How did that come about, and what came of it?
So she tried looking for different jobs, and since she didn't really know the language very well, she couldn't get them, and so one of my aunt's friends cleaned houses for a living, and since she needed a job, she decided to do that, and so she started cleaning like apartment buildings and office buildings with that for a while, and then and my parents are very smart people.
Yeah.
So
College professor, right?
Yeah. So she decided to start her own business, a cleaning business for herself, and she opened up like after she got some money, she opened up a franchise, and she's doing very well for herself now. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the American dream, going from literally cleaning toilets to literally being in charge of people cleaning the toilets and starting her own business.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah.
This was all happening while you're in middle school or high school, or what age was this?
It was when I was in high school that she finally, when they finally had enough money to do that, and my dad was also trying to go through school, and so that he could validate his degree, and it wasn't until after I graduated that he finally was able to be an engineer again, basically.
Wow. So imagine going through. Yeah, that's insane. Imagine going through all that school just to do what you were doing in your own country, and then having to move to escape a very bad situation, and then having to almost redo it again.
Yeah, and you have to add a couple kids.
Couple kids.
Here and one there. They have to take care of. So.
Wow. That's.
Yeah.
The David's parents right there. I'll tell you that's some strong stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing is the perception that the family and friends or other people in Peru thought that after they came here that they were automatically going to have jobs and money, and so they kept asking for money.
Oh, no way.
And so my parents had to help them. Like they didn't have to, but they chose to help their family members. But it's just the perception that if you're in the U.S., you automatically are going to have a good life and a nice house, and they don't realize how much of a sacrifice it actually is.
That is insane. Holy smokes. Wow. So the breakthrough happened while you're in high school. In middle school, your father was going through and getting his education. So what was it like for you going to a nice private school to going to this public school? Everyone speaks English, and this is in Utah, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot of diversity, from my understanding, out that way, right, in public schools. So walk me through it. Like you walk into class. What is your typical David middle school day?
Uh, well, that was actually something different because I actually never went to middle school. So when I came, I was in fifth grade when we got to the States. I started fifth grade and then sixth grade, and from there, they had an advanced program where you could take a test and get into straight on to a advanced program at a high school, and so the middle school was combined with high school, I guess. So it was seventh and eighth grade that were called ELP, which stands for Extended Learning Program, West High School in Salt Lake, and so I took the test. I got in and went to seventh grade at a high school.
Wow.
Yep.
I went straight to seventh grade in high school. That's amazing. Okay, so you're there now. Typical David day in high school. What is it like? I know you played some sports, correct? You played some sports. Were you very popular, or were you one of those like not so known well kids? Were you pretty well known? What were you like? One of those people who are like you could walk into the classroom and the girls faint in the high school. You know what I'm saying? Like what was it like for you?
No, it was normal. I can't say I was the most popular kid in school because I wasn't. I tried to know a lot of people in different groups. I got along with since I was there since seventh grade. I took classes when I was in seventh grade with seniors or with like a bunch of different kids from different learning levels, you'd call it, and so I got to know a quite diverse group of people, I played football and soccer and that was fun, and then trying to figure out where I was going to go to college and if I was going to go to college and as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you also think about if you're going to serve a mission or not, and so that was something else that we had to think about.
Gotcha. Interesting. Oh no.
This little dude's tired.
He's getting a little sleepy now. Wow, that's a time in David's time there. That's crazy. So you played football, you played soccer. Were you pretty good at school? Were you pretty like a AB honor roll type student? Were you just straight A's? What were you on that?
If I tried, I was really good. My junior and senior year, I didn't really try very hard. I still got good grades and stuff, but I didn't really try. Like, I did really good on my ACT and SAT, but I think that was just because I'm good at taking tests.
That's what matters most at that point, though, taking the test and scoring good at them. So.
True. Yeah.
Wow.
That's all colleges really look at is how good of a test taker you are rather than how good of a student you actually are. My little brother is a lot smarter than I am.
Oh,
and
you're going to admit that right now?
No, I can definitely admit that my little brother's smarter than I am, but he didn't get into as nice as college as I did because he's not that great of a test taker. He wasn't at the time. I know that he studied really hard for the ACT, and I think he got in the 20 somewhere, where I didn't study at all, and I got a 33 on my ACT. So.
Oh wow!
It's just it's crazy what people see when colleges see when they are admitting people into their schools.
That's a good point. Yeah. Uh-oh. He's taking the tumbles. Oh, I think Mag is here to save the day. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, oh, wow. He went real quiet. For those who don't know, that is Benjamin, who got taken away.
Yep, that was Benjamin. He's a little over a year now.
So, okay, so we're going right to, you went tested really well, and you said for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you were thinking about going on a mission. So, first, which one was it? Did you go to college, then go out? I know during that time, it was that change in age, right, where it was like big drama. If some of you don't know, there was a huge change in when those missionaries that come knocking on your door, they used to be able to go out at 19. Now, during that time, they changed the age standard to 18. So there's a lot of people who are waiting to go to college, and they go to college first, and then they take however many years off of college too for guys, right? And then they go on their missions. But they made a change to where you could go basically immediately out of high school. So if you could take me to that point in your timing there, like what was it, college first for you? I'm assuming it was, because it was for me. But
yeah. So during high school, I wasn't very active in the church, and so a mission was kind of something that that people around me talked about, but I wasn't really thinking of, and my parents weren't really thinking that I should. They wanted me to go to school first, and I just wanted to go to school too, and so I ended up going to college first. I did 2 semesters, and my second semester is when I started going back to church, and I felt that I needed to go on a mission. So then I submitted my application, my papers, and then I ended up going on a mission.
Okay, so you go in there and you submit the paperwork, right? Now, that's a lot of nervousness, because the big thing is, where are you going to go? I remember whenever I did it, it was like, oh, where am I going to go, right? Because a lot of people were getting all over the place. Rumors were saying that China might open, right? There's also funny things. So you probably thought 100% Peru. Did you think that, or maybe like
no.
Spanish speaking, or
I figured that I'd go somewhere Spanish speaking because I spoke Spanish already. But I wasn't really thinking it like my family, they're all converts to the church, so we didn't really know like the whole process
okay
per se, and the ward that we went to, the church building went to, everybody there is pretty much converts, and nobody had gone in the mission over 10 years, so nobody really knew how it all worked. And so I turned in my papers, and like most people have when they received their back then, when they received their envelope in the mail, they would have like these, they still have parties and stuff where they invite their family friends to guess where they're going to go on the mission. It wasn't like that for me. Once I submitted my papers, about a week and a half later, there was I was finishing the semester, still in, or maybe I just had finished, I can't remember, but I was out, and I got home, and the letter already had arrived, and my mom had opened it, and she looks at me and she says, "Hey, you're going to Kentucky, by the way." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine," and that was it. We didn't know there was anything else.
So you didn't actually even open it yourself.
No.
Like what normally happens. Your mom opened it and just read it and says you're going to Kentucky.
Yep.
Did you even know what that state was in the first place when you heard it?
I didn't know what Kentucky was. The only thing that we really thought of was KFC, but we didn't really eat fast food very much. Like I did when after playing the sports, we went out to. There's a restaurant called Crown Burger by my high school, and we went to eat there sometimes. But apart from that, we didn't really eat fast food, so I didn't really know what Kentucky was, and I didn't know it was on the other side of the country, basically.
Oh wow, that's funny. So Utah is all you kind of knew of the U.S. then at that time.
Yeah, basically, like we took little trips around Utah and like surrounding states and stuff, but we didn't really go to the other side of the country.
Okay, so take me to Utah, right, where it's predominantly the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints members, right? Predominantly pretty tight-knit community in a sense, right? For those who've never been there. And then you go out and go to Kentucky, where what is the first thing you notice as soon as you land there? The people, what was the food, scenery? What was so different? What threw you off?
How green it was. I remember when the plane was surrounding the airport. It was very green and like it was super humid when we landed, and that's the first thing that kind of threw me for a loop because I'd never been somewhere that green and that humid, and so that was the first shock, I guess.
Okay, first shock. You see the green, you see the humidity. So were you in spring or summertime during that time?
It was in the middle of summer. It was middle of July.
Oh, the worst time of it all.
So it was very, very humid, very hot.
How fast did your white shirts turn yellow?
Pretty quickly. After a week. Especially because I didn't have a bike and we were walking everywhere. So we'd walk everywhere, and it's humid, and I sweat pretty easy. So it was all my shirts were destroyed after just a few weeks. So.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh, wow. Humidity, first thing you notice. The green, second thing you notice. Okay, so take me to your first area. Where was it? How was it? What were the people like? Was it city-like, country-like? Because you get really diverse groups of like just random like pockets of city urban life, whether it be in Louisville, and then you can go into middle of nowhere, kind of like Sulphur Wells, and it'll be, I mean, as like country as it can get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my first area was Georgetown, Kentucky, and it's Georgetown was really nice. The people were very similar to how it is like people are out west, because most people have either lived or are from out west, especially in the ward, the church. Outside of that, the people are always really nice. For the most part, there was always people that would tell us that we're Satan worshippers, or sometimes we'd be walking the side of the highway and get stuff thrown at us, or like beer bottles thrown at us, and that was very different. But for the most part, people were pretty nice. And since I was Spanish speaking, I mainly tried to look for Spanish speakers. So they tend to be nicer, especially to people who are going to be talking to them about God and Jesus and stuff, compared to other ethnic groups.
Okay, that's really unique. So, just just focusing on those who speak Spanish pretty much, and then just going after it, and then just having some very interesting street interactions. So that's really cool. So from there, you go and you serve a full 2 years, I'm assuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after you serve, right, like, would you consider yourself having a successful mission?
Yeah, I would say that I did. I tried really hard to follow the rules, to do what I needed to do to be successful. I tried to set goals for myself, and I was able to achieve my goals, and both spiritually and mentally, and well, maybe not physically, since you get fed a lot, so tend to gain weight quite a bit, but for the most part, I would say that I was successful.
Nice. Okay. So you come back, you feel very successful, and then you go to school. Now, where did you go to school again? And then, I mean, I'm assuming you went to school before, which you have already said, and then you went back to the same school. So you went to...
So I actually, before my mission, I was going to University of Utah, but going on the mission, I ended up losing my scholarship. So after my mission, since I didn't have a scholarship, I started going to Utah Valley University, and I was just going to be there for 2 years and then transfer, because they didn't really have an engineering program. But while I was there, we worked really hard to start an engineering program. We ended up doing really good.
Oh, wow. So you went to a university that didn't have an engineering program once you came back, but then they started getting, I'm guessing, the ball rolling on that, and then that's where you came out and succeeded then. That's really cool. So take me while you're in college, right? So what are the biggest, like, life things that happened to you while you're in college? I'm assuming you got your degree. That's one big one. The second one is, I mean, you have a child, so I'm assuming you got married, right? And then the third thing is job. Like, how did you end up? Because you went to Utah, and then you're back here in Kentucky.
Yeah. So I was in college. It was I think it was a junior at the time. When I met my wife, who's actually from Kentucky, and I met her through her parents, basically, who I went out to. They invited me for dinner when I was a missionary, and so I met her. We dated for a bit, and we ended up getting married, and so the job that I had, so one day there was a job fair. I was looking for a job because I was kind of broke, like normal college student.
Yep, everyone's broke.
And I had tried different jobs. I worked at a laundry mat for a bit, like a dry cleaners.
Oh, nice.
And so I would receive clothes and then put the stickers on them, and then the laundry ladies would wash them, and then people would come in with their ticket, and I'd give them their clothes after that. That was actually a pretty fun job, but I kind of wanted to have a more grown-up job, you would call it.
I understand.
So,
they pay a little more too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was making $11 an hour at the time.
Wow. Yeah. $11 an hour.
Yeah. Hey, for a broke college student that just got out their mission, It's not bad.
Well, that's not bad because I worked out at a laundromat too at BYU in Utah while in college, and they paid me $8.50.
Oh, then I was
doing
rolling,
real good.
I was rolling in the dough compared. No, yeah. So one day I was looking for a job, and randomly there was a job fair. I wasn't even planning on going, but I walked in. It was a technology job fair, and I was walking around all these different booths, and if you ever been to a job fair, they have like these great presentations or like saying this is what's great about our company, and so I'm walking around, and then I see one place where it was just a desk, 2 people there, and a pamphlet, and that was it. And I was like, what the heck? And it kind of made me curious. So I decided to talk to them, and they're like, they tell me like this whole thing, and I didn't really understand it. And they're like, you should come by, and here's the address of where you can come, and we'll see if you're a good fit and stuff. And I was like, okay. And at the same time, there was this other software company that was recruiting me, and somebody from when I was in high school, a youth mentor, I guess, he worked at, and I was interested in that. It didn't really pan out, so I was like, oh, I'll go to this place, see how it is. And so I went, and I didn't know what the job was at all, and I interviewed, and they had me do some tests, and then I had to prove that I spoke Spanish, so I had to make a phone call basically in Spanish, and then after all of that, they're like, okay, here's your start date for training, and you're good, and I was like, okay, and I showed up, and I went through training, and I still didn't really fully know what it was, but it ended up being a job for the government.
Oh, wow.
And
Secret agent.
no, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I was there. I graduated. I was there for a little over 5 years, and then I moved to the company I am now, which is in pharmaceuticals. So don't hate me for that, but
he makes the money off of your medical bills. No, I'm kidding.
No, well, no.
Kind of.
No, we make
Slightly.
medicine that helps a lot of people.
Helps a lot of people while making a lot of money. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, David. But if you as a viewer have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Let us know what you want to ask David. We'll come back again probably, next week? We'll probably try to do this weekly and see where it takes us from there. But hope you enjoyed the podcast, and thank you for listening to us. We hope you enjoyed the David and Ken podcast. Again, deuces, leave a like, and follow us.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.